Here we go. Welcome to Beyond the Stage. I'm Chris Carter, and with me is Ruth Eggerman, where we invite you to tune in every second Thursday of the month to catch the latest episode, where you can discover inspiring interviews, behind the scenes stories, and gain insights into the creative process that brings magic to the Bankhead stage. And today we are talking to Kat Edmonson, who will be at the Bankhead Theater on Friday, December 1st at 8 p.m. with her swingin' Christmas show.
Yeah, holiday swinging. She has an album out that's
She
holiday
does.
swinging. Yeah, yeah. So, do you think that she'll do mostly oldies, or do you think she's going to do some of her own original works? Because she also does
Uh,
original stuff.
yeah, I hope so. I hope she does some of her original stuff because I think she's a great songwriter. But I do love her her take on holiday music, and it's very classic and fun.
Yeah,
And
it's got that total sort of old Hollywood
yeah.
glamour vibe to it, or
Mhm.
cabaret style, which is kind of fun. I enjoy that style of music, and it's a lot of fun to see that. So I'm looking forward to this as well. She sort of falls right at the beginning of our holiday season. We've got Big Bad Voodoo Daddy coming uh, right after Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
We have Irish Christmas in America as well, and Noche Buena with celebrates the Mexican heritage and the
Mhm.
Hispanic heritage. So that'll be fun. It'll be nice to have this one too. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I think she's going to be
Oh,
great. I've seen her live before, and she does a wonderful show. So it's like
yeah,
one of the ones I keep telling people who ask me, like, what are some shows I should be thinking about that I'm not thinking about, and this is the one that pops to the top for me.
right, right. And there's always those shows. We have those shows all the time where
Yeah.
people, you should. This is a show you don't want to miss. You may not have
Hmm.
heard of them, but this is a show you don't want to miss. So, what do you like to do for the holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas time?
Well, it's funny. My birthday is November 22nd, so it falls on Thanksgiving pretty frequently. So
Right.
it kind of dictates what I do for my birthday. uh, but it's usually with family, so that's okay. And we've always been Thanksgiving was always been the holiday when I was growing up where it wasn't just family; it was anybody was invited. You had friends, anybody that didn't have a place to go. I remember when I was in college, I had several classmates that would come home on Thanksgiving because it was too far for them to go to their own homes, and that's always been our Thanksgiving has been our immediate family plus uh,
Whoever else shows up.
whoever else shows up.
Right.
It's a fun holiday where you can do that and share that time. So that's what I think of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
What about you?
Thanks. It was a much bigger holiday for me when I was younger and when my kids were younger. As I've gotten older and my kids have moved away, and I don't live close to my family. Most of them live in the Midwest and overseas. I actually have one sister who lives in Amsterdam. So generally, it's just really expensive to travel at that time of year. So it's become one of those places where I just stay home, hang out in my pajamas, watch football with my roommate, make turkey, and make all the fixins, and then whoever shows up shows up. If my kids are around and come over, it's great. If they don't, it's also okay. And it's just a low key easy day for us. But
Yeah.
it used to be a day where we would, you know, big family time. But you were talking about the how you just sort of open up your doors.
Yeah.
So my parents have always hosted Passover because I'm Jewish, so they've always
Mhm.
hosted Passover, and that's how our Passover is. It's always immediate family and whoever else needs a seat at the table and a meal to be fed, right?
I love
So
that.
yeah, I do too. It's like one of my favorite things about my family is that we just always open up the doors for whoever needs a place to be or stay, or family to be around when their family isn't around.
Yeah. For us, like Thanksgiving is more like pass out instead of Passover because by the end of the day, you've eaten so much food. You're lying on the couch watching football or something, and it's just you're done.
Right.
That's another tradition is nap time in the
Do you
afternoon.
do it at your house or at your parents' house?
We've never done it at our house. I've never cooked a turkey before. Kind of nervous about that. At some point, we're going to have to do it, but it's always been at my parents' house, or if we do it, my wife's family, it's somebody else who's doing all the cooking. So
What's your
one of the things.
favorite? What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
I love cranberry sauce. I don't know if that's really a dish,
Me
but
too. I
it's
do too.
I go nuts for cranberry sauce, and I get my turkey and I get my mashed potatoes and everything else, and I just pile the cranberry sauce like on everything because I think it makes everything taste better. Uh,
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big fan of turkey, but if you give me cranberry sauce, I will just pile it on that turkey, and it's like, "Oh, this is the best turkey I've ever had." But
right?
I'm with you. I love cranberry sauce.
And I always go for the dark meat. It's like I need the fatty stuff, but yeah,
It's also the it's also the tastier stuff.
yeah, right, the leg or the wing or something.
Right,
Um,
right.
Now my mouth is watering a little bit. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So November is a really busy month at the Bankhead.
yeah.
Just switching topics, not just Thanksgiving, but it's a really busy month at the Bankhead. And we have so many great things happening in November that I want to like bring up my computer screen and just take a look at the schedule. So, we just had Napoleon Dynamite, we
Mhm.
had Riders in the Sky, we have an evening with Brian Stokes, but it's like one after another, Selected Shorts, Cross That River.
Yeah, I think November is our busiest month of the year, and I don't know how that happens. Is you start booking these shows, and you could try and find like the dates that work, and
Right,
um, and for some reason there was a lot of open dates in November when I started, and I just started plugging things in, and all of a sudden it's like 11 performances in the month of November when we typically average 4 or 5,
right.
6 on a heavy month.
I
So
mean, it's a great lineup that,
yeah.
with everything from Broadway to Disney to some rising stars in Lizzie No, Buffalo Nichols, and Sonny War, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, and we close out the month with an evening with Kim Boudow
Mhm.
from Livermore
The
Labs,
lab.
which I think I'm so geeked out about that. I can't I like, moving to Livermore, just having moved to Livermore, it's become clear to me how just delightfully intelligent and smart and, dare I say, a little bit nerdy this town might be, but I love it. And I'm really excited about hearing more about fusion and what's coming up with that. And I hope that she can dumb it down a little bit for for people like me so I can understand it.
Yeah, I know when we have people come and do those kind of talks, I always say I end up feeling smarter and dumber at the same time. Like I've learned something, but I also know that I'm not anywhere near their level. And you're right. Somebody told me this is like the smartest square mile in the world, possibly. And what other city has a statue of an element in the downtown area? I mean, that's
The
that is pretty nerdy. I'll admit that. But
It's
nerds
so
are cool.
awesome.
Yeah, nerds are great.
It's yeah, it's so awesome. We have the only, I think we're the only city in the United States that has an element named after it.
Mhm.
And I don't know, maybe even all of North America. I'm not sure what other cities have elements named after them, but I think that's one of the coolest things. And I know the element is element 116 Livermorium,
Livermorian.
right? I'm not sure I could name many other of the newer elements like hydrogen and oxygen I got, but that's sort of where it runs out. So, Chris, today we're talking to Kat Edmonson. Now, you saw Kat Edmonson in New York, right?
I did. I did.
Yeah, yeah.
She was
It
wonderful.
was a great interview. She has, I'm feeling after hearing her and listening to her and getting her sort of history. I'm feeling much more like I want to be in the theater that
I
night.
know, you told right as soon as we got off, you said, "I wanna go to the show now."
Yeah, I
And
want to go to the show.
you have to.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one.
Mhm.
I love that she's bringing back that style of like the variety show, the old time variety show that were really popular when I was growing up, like the Dean Martin Christmas specials and, even things like Laugh-In and, um, Sonny and Cher show, but, bringing sort of that vibe into our theater and into Livermore, I think it's going to be really cool. And so I'm looking forward to even more so now to seeing her perform live.
Yep, me too. So,
Yeah.
let's get going.
All right.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Um, I will tell you, I saw you perform live, earlier this year in New York at the APAC conference. I was at that little bar where you sang, and I thought it was great. You guys were so awesome, and it was. I had just gotten off the plane, and that was the first place I went. I was really tired. I didn't know anybody, and I just had a great time. And
I'm so
so,
glad.
yeah, you did a wonderful show. Your band was really good, um, and you connected so well with the audience. I could see people around me, and just really getting into your performance. So you knocked it out of the park. So I was really happy that at that point we had already booked you, and I was really pleased because I think it's going to be a great show for our space.
You were like, phew.
Yeah, you never know. But we try to be discerning, but sometimes most of the time we do a pretty good job. I had not. I'll tell you kind of the way I sometimes discover music. I feel like we run a performing arts center here, and we should know pretty much everything, but we don't. It sometimes I'll get an email from an agent, and he'll send me the roster, and I'll start poking around. And I saw a video of you performing. I think it was like "Old Fashioned Gal" was the song, and I was like, "Oh, this will be perfect for our space." And I think you're going to really like our space. It's a 500 seat theater. Acoustics are great. Wonderful audience. A very smart audience. It just seemed to be a good fit. So
Oh,
um,
that's great.
I was real happy to discover you. And you're from Texas, right? Is that
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
Austin?
Houston, but I lived in
Houston.
Austin for 8 years.
Okay, I grew up in Austin and moved to California when I was starting high school. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, so great state, lots of good music and food. Do you still go back a lot?
I do. I mean, I don't, I go back to tour a lot. My
Yeah.
family and my immediate family is in Houston, so I often don't make it up to Austin. But yeah, we would just played a show at the Paramount in December.
Oh, cool.
And I love going back to Austin because that was where I got my start, and that's where I had up, just this great support, this great swelling of support from there that launched me kind of everywhere. And
Yeah. And do you perform a lot out on the West Coast too? Like, do you get out to the Bay Area much?
yeah, yeah. In fact, in November of last year, we were at Yoshi's,
Okay.
but we try to always make it to the Bay Area. And we have a really nice fan base that I think will love your venue. So I'm just delighted that you're going to have us.
Have you ever been to Livermore
I
before?
haven't,
You
no.
have not. Okay. I'll tell you what we're known for. The Livermore National Lab is out here. It's a lot of nerds, basically. So there's a lot of physicists, rocket scientists. It's like a university town without the university. And there's also wine country out here, a lot of wineries, and they love their arts and their culture. So it's a kind of a fun artsy community with some agriculture at the same time, still in the Bay Area. So I think you'll enjoy it. There's a lot of great restaurants. So if you need any advice on what to do while you're around here, let me know. I'm sure, or Ruth.
Okay.
Ruth just moved to Livermore, so she's discovering everything herself. So
Oh,
I I am. I've been commuting for the last 2 years for like a half hour each way and just decided to take the leap into Livermore. And it's a great little city. Just lots of fun. Downtown area is super fun, which is where we are. So I will take note and send you little places that you can check out while
Oh,
you're here.
please do. We'll be flying in from Colorado and we'll be flying out the next day to St. George, Utah. So it's the briefest trip. But
Yeah, this
Right.
is
we
your Christmas album tour, right?
yes, Holiday Swingin' a Kat Edmonson Christmas.
And how would you describe your music style to people?
Um well, I draw my influences from old movies and the Great American Songbook. Um, and in fact, movies were the first place that I uh, learned music and had an affinity for music. Like movies from the 30s through the 1960s in particular, all of the guys that were composing for the Great American Songbook were writing music for the films, and so I just fell in love, and so this show that we're going to be putting on, Holiday Swingin' at Kat Edmonson Christmas, will be like in the ilk of Dean Martin Christmas Special, or Bing Crosby, or Frank Sinatra, or Dinah Shore, whatever you can remember of variety show Christmas special. That's the spirit of what we're going for.
Lovely. Ruth and I were talking before you came on, and Ruth said you reminded her of old Hollywood. And so I guess you just put it right, spot on. What you just described is what people are bidding. So that's really cool.
Ruth,
Uh,
I must be doing something right. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it was just that feeling. When you said the old variety shows, and I was a big fan of the variety shows when I was growing up. They don't make them like that anymore at all, but I just used to love to watch them. Christmas or every Saturday night, it didn't matter. And so yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's that feel like, and it's nostalgic and takes you back to that place that feels really good.
hmm Yeah,
So
that's what I associate with Christmas fanfare and
yeah.
celebration.
And what kind of inspired you to want to do a Christmas album? Is this something you've been thinking about for a long time, or
I've always loved Christmas music, and it was always on my bucket list, and it was just a matter of time before I did it. And I thought I would do it much further along into my career, but I just during the pandemic, in fact, I started the Kat Edmonson show, which was my version of a variety show at home. And we started putting on holiday specials. And the Christmas special in particular was such a success. And I actually had so much fun reimagining arrangements for classic tunes, the Christmas song, I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas, Let It Snow, all of these great tunes. And I suddenly had the repertoire, and I had the energy and the momentum, and so it was actually in 2021, the summer of 2021, that we went into the studio and decorated the whole place like Christmas time and recorded an album.
wow? And did you tour with this last year too?
I did,
You
yes.
did? Okay. And are you for the show? Is it like exclusively holiday songs? Are you going to play some of your other music, or
Yeah, I'll
what
be
else is
playing
going to
some
be
of my
included?
originals as well.
Okay. And I've been listening to some of your music, and I got to tell you, when you did this live, I loved your version of "Summertime." I thought that was really good. And then you also performed the Cure song.
Mhm.
Uh, which one was it? Just Like
Just like
Heaven?
heaven.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. How do you pick what songs you're gonna, cover like that, and how do you approach the arrangement of that? Because what you did with "Summertime" was very different than a lot of things I've heard before, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, first of all, I feel that if I can't offer the song, some classic song that's ubiquitous, that it's part of our culture and our musical history, if I can't offer it something really fresh and new, I'd rather not record it. Sing it
Yeah,
live, sure, but record it, it's like, if it's going to go in the analogs of history, like, let me put my stamp on it. And fortunately, I just had a vision for that song. I co-arranged that tune with a pianist named Kevin Lovejoy, and we put a really modern spin on it, a very like contemporary rock kind of spin on it. Um, fortunately, I don't get tripped up. For instance, Etta James' version of It Last. I've never actually heard an arrangement that I could do on that. Maybe if I spend a bunch of time, but so I'll stay away. But once one can, their head can get in the way of such an exercise of trying to reinvent a classic song. And I just go back to where the songwriter wrote the song from, their intention. That's where I start from. So then I try and create something new from there. If I went from the actual classic recording itself, I think I would never get anywhere, because it's just too daunting to try and match, these really Frank Sinatra tunes, Ella Fitzgerald, Nat King Cole. I mean, these people, who would ever think about re-recording the Christmas song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire? But I actually heard a version in my head, and I'm very imaginative. So it started there, and we went from there.
Oh, that's great. I really appreciate that, and you sharing that, how your process is. And you write a lot of your own music too. And do you have a creative process for that as well? And how do you approach writing your own songs?
Um, it's a talent that I have had since I was a child. I was an only child, so perhaps it was a way of passing the time. I don't know, but I started writing songs when I was very young. The first complete song I remember writing was when I was 9 years old, and I was sitting on a school bus on a field trip, and I wrote a country song because I'm from Texas. And I've always been able to hear songs that often indicate to me where my head is at and where my heart is at and what's going on with me. Sometimes well before I even know how I'm feeling, and then I can explore what I'm feeling and why through the writing of the song. It's a very cathartic process. Um, and it also is very much tied to telling stories. In particular, like my love of film, there's there was so much music incorporated into old films or written for old films. Now there's a lot of soundtracks for new films, but in the case of old films, songs were being written and performed in the movies, and were often tied into the narrative of the film. There might have been like a nightclub singer somewhere singing a song that revealed a part of the plot or something. And I often see movie scenes in my head as I'm writing songs. So it's all very much tied together.
Do you have like an instrument that you write on, or what, or do you
I
just
start I start here
okay?
in my head, and then I'll go to the piano and decipher what the chords are. And then I often end up employing someone. Aaron Thurston in my band is very adept at understanding where I often like to go or am trying to go musically. So that's usually the process. It's interesting. I didn't think it was a legitimate process, because all of my other friends that were songwriters started on a guitar or started sitting at the piano, and so I thought, well, I'm doing something kind of wrong and invalid. But I was in the studio at Capitol Records one time in Los Angeles, and Burt Bacharach was next door recording something. He was actually mixing a session. And I went and hung out with him, and we were talking, and I asked him about his songwriting process. And he told me that he goes and lays down on the couch and he closes his eyes and he starts to write. And only after he really has the meat of the song does he go to the piano. And that was incredibly validating, to hear from him.
One of the greatest songwriters of all time,
Absolutely.
telling you he's got this same style that you do and the same process. Wow, that's so cool.
I have a quick question. So do you when you're laying there on the couch or it's in your head and wherever you are you writing do you hear the lyrics? Do you hear the melody? Do you hear like what does that feel like for you if you want to share that without giving away
Absolutely.
too many of your secrets, right?
I hear, I usually hear some kind of hook, fortunately, because those can be the hardest things to come by. So I'll hear like chorus or just like a theme that will run through the music, and a word or two that will kind of indicate what's going on. And it's literally like doing a crossword puzzle. It's I start filling in, the music is actually what confines me to how long the phrase is going to be, the sentence or whatever. So then I start filling in the blanks. And then if I get a word I like, that's kind of, I lock that in as, that will indicate what the rhyme will be, and then I can determine the rhyme scheme. So it's very puzzle like. And again, something I've been doing since I was a child, and not as like a formal practice, but it was so inherent and fun. It was playtime, and so it remains that way, fortunately.
Do you do a lot of crossword puzzles then? Is that
Yeah, I do. And I
you?
just started playing the New York Times game Spelling Bee, which I really love.
Uh-huh. I
Yeah,
so
are you a wordler as well?
I've only done it a few times. Yeah.
So
so
years ago, I didn't know what to get my daughter for the holidays, and she loves crosswords, so I bought her a subscription to the New York Times games, and so she does the crossword every single day, and
Wow.
all the mini ones. Yeah, and she times her. I won't even get on it because we share it, and so now we share it, and so because I don't want to mess up her stats. But yeah, and my parents did the crossword like on every car trip that we ever went on, every road trip when I was a kid, they would do the New York Times Sunday crossword back and forth in the car. And
That's
just
so
like
fun.
they still do it. I mean,
yeah.
they're 90 years old and they still do the crossword puzzle together.
Frankly, if I'm doing this Sunday, I prefer to have a partner.
Right.
It's not easy. It's funny. I've never heard songwriting described as like doing a crossword puzzle. We had just a few weeks ago, we talked to Keiko Matsui, the pianist, and she was saying how she goes outside and the music comes to her out of the sky and all this stuff. And so everybody has this different process. But I really liked how you described yours. It's makes a lot of sense now the more I think about it.
Yeah,
Um,
it made sense to me too.
yeah,
This
so
is
for those
very
creative folks out there, think of if you're stuck on something, think of it as that puzzle and making everything fit.
Yeah, and also I would say, don't underestimate that it's a bit of a magical process. I mean, if you think that you're the one, like, if you're trying to consciously with your problem solving mind write a song, um, it's not going to be as fun as if you just, there's a certain amount of trust involved. Like, that inspiration is striking. And I think, like, if you just allow that dance between trying to control it and then trying to letting it happen
Hmm.
is really fun. It's like surfing or something, like there's a collaboration. It's you and the waves. You can only do so much, but then the wave comes, and then it's about letting it happen and not getting in the way, and it's just a blast. It really
Yeah,
is.
it is. I'm kind of an amateur songwriter, and we perform, I always find it's like a path, and you don't know where you're going to end up, but you're taking these different turns, and then you find the right space at the end, and it feels really good as you get through that maze. But I really appreciate you sharing that. That's a great description of songwriting.
Thank
Um,
you.
Tell me a little bit about your band, because I did remember I was so impressed with them. I love your guitarist. I thought he was great. They were so much fun. Have you been playing with them for a long time?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
We've been playing together for years now, and we love each other and we love traveling together, and that feels like a coup because touring is fun in that you get to perform, but it's grueling, being in the plane, in the car, on the train, and with your stuff, and it's an exhaustive schedule. So when you have a bunch of people that you love making like-minded decisions, it's fabulous. And
Definitely helps.
Matt Munisteri was the guitarist that you were enjoying. He's going to be, everyone that you saw is going to be with us. Bob Hart on bass, Aaron Thurston on drums, and Ben Patterson on piano.
Great. One thing we like to ask everybody that we meet with is, what are you listening to right now? Is there anything that you're really into as far as music that's kind of fun for you and inspiring?
Yes. I just discovered Jacques Ibert, this classical composer, a
Hmm.
song called Ports of Call. I heard it on the classical station recently, and it just sent me. I went home and I was searching all over the classical station website to try and find what it is that I had heard. It was the most animated, glorious thing. And currently, I'm in the process of arranging a lot of my music for a full symphony orchestra. So I'm thinking a lot about orchestral music, and that just lit my fire. And then totally on the opposite spectrum, there's a pop singer that came out 3 years ago, but I only just discovered her, or at least this song came out 3 years ago, and her name is Caroline Polachek. And I thought it was like really fun bubblegum pop music. And I haven't gotten into a pop song in a really long time. So it was kind of refreshing, like summertime, driving down the road. And I've been checking out Blossom Dearie again, who's a favorite of mine. She was a songwriter, but really known for her years on Verve Records as a jazz singer, a cabaret singer, and beautiful pianist. And I love her everything.
Okay, well, thank you for the suggestions. We're going to have to check them all out now. Last thing we like to do, if you're okay with this, is a little bit of a game. We call this either or. So this is a way for us to get to know you a little bit better. And I'm going to go through a series of choices. So I'll say something like fruits or vegetables, and you have to say which one you would choose. So fruits, vegetables. Okay. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Oh, I thought you would say cats for sure.
I know.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
All right. Digital or vinyl?
Vinyl.
Of course. Apple or PC?
Apple.
All right. Flying or driving?
Driving.
And by the way, these are going to get progressively harder.
Okay.
So get ready. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
The color red or the color blue?
Red.
Guitar or piano?
Piano.
Drums or bass?
Ooh, drums.
Drums, okay. Major key or minor key?
Minor.
San Francisco or New York?
Well, I know the answer to that question. San Francisco.
Good job.
I'm not going
Right
to
answer.
isolate my audience.
There you go. This is kind of what's in the news right now. The Barbie movie or Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer.
All right. Fender or Gibson?
Gibson.
Gibson. Wintertime or summertime?
Summertime.
Summertime. I thought you were going to sing it for a second. Miles Davis or John Coltrane?
Oh, John Coltrane.
John Coltrane. All right. And then finally, Livermore on December 1st or anywhere else in the world? And you're playing on December 1st, by the way.
That one's easy. Livermore.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kat. We had a great time talking to you, and really looking forward to having you. I know it's going to be a wonderful show, and wish you the best of luck on your tour and with your music and everything else. And I'm going to enjoy following your career now. So thank you.
Thank you. We're
Thank you.
really excited.
Oh,
Thank,
good.
thank you so much, Kat. Safe travels, and appreciate you making time for this today.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
thanks, y'all.
sure. And we'll this will get posted, I think, in November. So once it's up, we can share it with you, and you can feel free to share the interview with anybody you want.
I
So
will.
yeah. All right. Well, take care. You're off the hook. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, y'all. Have
All
a
Thanks.
right.
great day.
Bye.
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 Well, what did you think?
Well, that was fun. I feel like I came out of that interview a bigger fan. So,
Hmm.
and really now um, much more compelled to go to the show.
Yeah.
You know, it's, generally I leave the holiday music for the fans of it. But I feel like I know I've seen the clips and she sings in that style that's very reminiscent of, growing up for me and watching those shows and, big fan of like Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and, Jerry Lewis and all of them
Hmm.
sort of coming together and doing their variety shows. So I'm much more compelled to go to that show after talking with her. She seems also really smart. I love the way that she talked about how her creative process. It's so interesting that the different way people have that how they come up with it,
Yeah.
the creative process and what they do and how they manage it.
Hmm.
And it's similar, but it's also so different. They have different ways of getting to the same place.
Yeah. I thought it was cool when she talked about Burt Bacharach and
Yeah, that was a
he's
great
just
story.
telling her how he writes his song, and
Yeah,
she felt validated by that.
yeah. Well,
I
don't
thought,
spoil too much for
okay,
people.
I won't say too much else, but
Right, but no, yeah, that was
yeah,
a
that
great
was
story.
fun. And she's real sweet, and
Yeah.
uh, I think it's going to be a really fun show too. So I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to people seeing her for the first time and coming out and wanting to learn more about her.
Yeah, so she'll be here on December 1st, which is that a Friday? Friday,
Friday
December 1st
at
at
8 p.m.
8 p.m. in the Bankhead Theater. You can get tickets at livermorearts.org or obviously by phone at 925-373-6800. But livermorearts.org, super easy. Go there, get tickets, and come for some holiday swinging and stay
Holiday
for the
swing.
cheer.
All right. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you, Ruth.
thank you. Thanks for joining us on Beyond the Stage with Chris Carter. I'm Ruth Egerman. See
Bye
you
bye.
soon.